Right, with that COVIDiot stuff out of the way. The Georgia Guidestones, everyone's familiar with them, with their 500 million people being left in harmony. Not quite. Or maybe it might be. Maybe 7 billion are bots, who knows. But the Georgia Guidestones are 666 nautical miles from the center of the Cuban pentagram at Tarara, which is Ararat backwards. Mirror magic. Now, Tarara is a gated resort town in the municipality of Habana del Este in the city of Havana, Cuba, and it's about 19 kilometers east of the city center and west of other beaches, including Santa Maria del Mar and Guanabo. Now, this resort community was built in the 1940s in Art Deco style on a hill facing the Atlantic Ocean. And a small marina is located in the inlet west of the town. An amusement park was located across from the inlet, but in 2006 it was left in ruins. Now, while there's hardly any evidence of its past existence on the ground, the aerial view reveals a pentagram shape, and the circle that surrounds the pentagram measures exactly 666 feet in diameter. Now, the pentagram does not belong to player Tarara, but in player Selamar, and it was built after 1959 as an amusement park for the Pioneros of Cuba organization. Royal Sylvester Webster built railroads in Mexico, then moved his family to Cuba so he could build railroads there as well after he had finished building them on bought land and then raised his family there. Now, Tarara was developed in the 1940s by the American Royal Sylvester Webster as a complete town with a church, Santa Elena, a club known as the Tarara Yacht Club, 400 residents, stores, a movie theatre, a marina, a public park and beach facilities. And many considered the Tarara beach to be one of the most beautiful on the island, with its boardwalk being a popular weekend destination. Now, Tarara was a fast and easy trip to Havana and the airport, with newly paved highways going directly to the resort, and Mr. Webster, the Royal American Royal, lived there, as did all of his children. Now, the entire Webster family, numbering 10 who were born on Cuba and 10 who were originally US citizens, were later forced to leave the island, however, after Castro's police confiscated their homes. And now a British hotel company wants to buy it from the Webster family, and the family disagrees whether they should sell it or not. And the older generations doesn't want to sell, but the new generations do want to sell some of the land. Now, after the Cuban Revolution in January 1959, Che Guevara went to live at a summer villa in Tarara to recover from a violent asthma attack. And while there, he started the Tarara Group, a group that debated and formed the new plans for Cuba's social, political, and economic development. Now, in addition, Che began to write his book, Guerrilla Warfare, while resting at Tarara, and he returned to Tarara in June 1959 for his honeymoon after his marriage to his second wife, Alida March. Now, at the height of the Cuban-Soviet relations, the town housed Russian officials stationed in Cuba, and for a while in the early 1990s functioned as a recovery resort for Ukrainian children affected by the Chernobyl nuclear disaster. After 2000 and the partial opening of Cuba to foreign investments, this was a place of choice for representatives of foreign companies. It's all sounding very Epstein to me. That were doing business in Cuba and with the residences functioning as rental villas. In 2005, the town was turned into a recovery resort for blind patients from Venezuela in a part of a deal between Fidel Castro and Hugo Chavez, in which Cuba offered medical expertise in return for Venezuelan oil. What I will say, in addition to that, is Cuba has got a lot of medical cures that has never been released to the public. Eczema being one of them. In 2007, the town began to receive Chinese students, especially high school graduates, and this under a project in which the Cuban government provides scholarships and facilities for those Chinese to learn Spanish. Now, the Tarara beach houses can be leased for a minimum of 1 year from the government for foreign and embassy employees. And in previous years, Canadians, Italians and Spanish visitors rented the beach houses for long-stay vacations for 1 to 6 months, but this has not been re-established as of 2009. And many houses have been renovated recently due to interior destruction from the Venezuelan people's misuse of it. And the Cuban doctors now go to Venezuela to treat eye patients. In 2006, and here's the kicker, oil was discovered in a well near Tarara, and maybe why there is an American interest in relations again all of a sudden. 666 miles from the Georgia Guidestones is the pentagram. One wonders if the Pentagon is 666 miles from the Georgia Guidestones. Perhaps someone can find that out. It wouldn't surprise me. It's all in code. But Tarara reversed is Ararat, which brings in the fake boat story and Noah. And Noah's boat was said to rest on Mount Ararat, but Noah's Ark was not a ship on water. It was in the water of the sky. It was a sky ship. And they told you that in the 100 series. The ship carrying humans awaiting a return to Earth, still suffering radiation from the nuclear wars. And it was called the Ark for a reason. Now, another name of a ship in that series was called Polaris, now known as the Pole Star. But the original Pole Star was Thuban, which again is connected to Egypt, but Thuban is a star in the constellation of Draco, known as Alpha Draconis. The great question is, who is the Omega Draconis? Now, this next piece came from Roger, one of our communal gathering law group people. And this has been part of his research into law. And you come across all kinds of other things along the way. And he said, what we know as Rome, was founded around 525 BCE by who we now know as Pythagoras, also a Persian false prophet called Haggai, and King Darius of Persia. Now, to add to your research, Roger, one wonders whether Hagiar is another title, as the word Hagiar comes from Hagag, to gather for a festival, and Yah, which is the shortened name of the Lord. So Hagiar means a festival for the Lord Yahweh. Now Hagiar and Darius were called to build a house for the Lord. It's not your normal house. 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom. Now this is the house of orange, and the house of this, and the house of that. The house is also the zodiacs, and Pharaoh means the great house. In other words, it's a collection of psychopaths. Just saying. Now Darius was depicted in Egyptian hieroglyphs in Annunaki regalia with a black face, as in jet black. Now Persians are not black, and suggest he was one of the Kalimar. And in another relief, he was a chimera, half man, half lion. He was also related to Cyrus, Trump the Great Cyrus, via 2 marriages of daughters of Cyrus. Roger goes on, Pythagoras, Hagiar, and the Yehudi priests of Mithra devised the Republic model, and this was a fascist state with 3 classes of citizens: patricians, those born to the Yehudi priestly houses, Cohens; the second class, men who through skill and learning achieved the highest degree, very Masonic; and municeps, who swore allegiance with the straight arm, fascist salute. And you all thought it started in the 1900s. Everyone else was slaves. Sound familiar? Now, Yehudi means Jew, and it was the Yehudi priests who gave the children to be sacrificed to Molech, as did Solomon. Roger says they then corrupted true ancient wisdom and created 10, the decimal again, occult degrees, the highest being G-we, G-E-W-E, which means illuminated man. Hence the Masonic G-we, illuminated man. The letter J did not exist in the alphabet until the 14th century. Actually, it was nearer the 16th. But there you go. And Lucifer, the light bringer, the illuminated man, was a title for the Roman emperor. So this is the origin of Jew, which is phonetically G-we. And the Jewish religion sprang from the cult of Mithra, which came out of Babylon and Persia to Roma, a cult of blood sacrifice, cannibalism, abuse, elitism, and slavery. There was never an Israel. There were provinces and kingdoms known as Palestine and Judah with a Y. Jerusalem, 2 different words. Yeru, which is the language of the Indians. Salem, turned into Jerusalem, was originally an Egyptian military outpost. Well, I never. And Roger says there never was an Israel with a Jewish religion until the Balfour Declaration assured the Rothschilds that Her Majesty's Britannic government would support the creation of the Israeli state, and this was done to bring America into World War I, as Britain was on her knees and losing badly, and needed American help to survive. So all conflicts in the Middle East is founded on a lie, he said. And I agree, Roger. The conflict is them reclaiming where they were stationed in the past. That's the ongoing issue now. It's them reclaiming where they were stationed in the past. And they are operating on behalf of off-world entities in worship of Isis, Ra, and El. Is-Ra-El. I wrote this for a show on March the 9th this year, called Expose 7. And I asked the question, why is the CIA central to all levels of heinous crimes against humanity? Are the people that represent that blight against humanity even human? Are they actually CIA cars? CACars. Now, car is a suffix used after the names of villages along the western coast of India, forming the most common surnames used by the Marathi and Konkani people in Maharashtra, Goa, and some parts of Karnataka. Kar is also the surname of the mostly Brahmins of Kashmir, Maharashtra, Bengal, and Odisha. Kar Brahmins hail from Karhama village in Kashmir, which is stated to be India, but it's across 3 different countries actually. And in Bengal, the Kar surname, spelt with a K, is also used by people in the Kayastha and Kshatriya clan. Lots of Ks. During the rule of the Nawabs of Dhaka, the Kars of Bengal were the tax and revenue collectors and government office workers, and were known to be the prime enemies of the Jat caste, J-A-A-T. Tax and revenue collectors. Which group started that? The sub-grey race. Now the suffix kar comes from the Sanskrit kar, which means making, doing, lord of, and was later modified to mean hailing from or belonging to. Lord of and hailing from makes sense, doesn't it? But then we have a place called Karnak in Egypt, and it is connected. The abode of Amun, A-M-U-N, which is the origin of Amen. And no, I'm not joking. Amun means the hidden God, and the hidden God was Ra, hence Amun-Ra. And when you say Amen, you are worshipping Ra. Oops. For those that don't know, the Siakars are a reptilian group, spelled C-I-A-K-A-R. Are they one and the same group? It would certainly make more sense than trying to get your head around of why a group of humans assembled to treat life with such little regard and disdain in any country, because they have killed many at home as well with their clandestine operations. And there's barely a show that goes by that references this group in some rogue activity or another. Not because I just wish to highlight them, but because they are involved in all that is evil on this planet. What have the CIA got against humanity? Why will and have they gone to great lengths to delete life all so easily? Threaten people to do their bidding and work? Use people like pawns in their evil game? Using espionage, mind control, blackmail and MK Ultra on people? Why did so many of the Jewish SS end up with the CIA? They who committed human atrocities and experiments on people within their camps, which then went into MK Ultra. And the great question is, are you required to have homicidal and maniacal tendencies, certain levels of evil, and willing to commit any crimes just to become a member of the CIA? And are there any good people within the CIA? It's a genuine question, as this cancer on the planet involves lots of people to carry it out. Why is no one walking away and or speaking out? So why am I repeating that? Because just 2 weeks, 2 weeks. Well, I never. Yes, it was just 2 weeks after the March 9th show, the CIA released a video called Humans of CIA. Is that a coincidence or what? Why place the name humans in the title? Is it because they are distinguishing between the human agents and the non-human? I'd like to thank them for the confirm. But now I want to see actions. I want the humans of the CIA to come and join us at the People's Club communal gathering. Introduce yourself and let's chart a better path for us all. It's that simple. Which leads us into this next piece on their modern day war and death cult. Now, this report was done on Friday, early Friday morning, and more casualties and hostilities have transpired since then. But the Israeli military has intensified its assault on Gaza as Palestinian militants continue to fire rockets into Israel on the 5th day of hostilities. And the Israel's army said air and ground forces were involved in attacks on Friday, but had not entered Gaza. And a BBC reporter in Gaza said there was heavy shelling involving gunboats, fighter jets and helicopters. And at that point, more than 100 people have been killed in Gaza and 7 had died in Israel since fighting had begun on Monday. Meanwhile, Jewish and Israeli Arab mobs have been fighting within Israel, prompting its president to warn of civil war. And the Defence Minister Benny Gantz ordered a massive reinforcement of security forces to suppress the internal unrest that has seen more than 400 people arrested. Most of them for complaining about their own country's violence, I might add. I saw a report today there was 500 Israelis who were campaigning against the Israeli violence, and they're arresting them. Now, in a statement released on Friday morning, Israeli Crime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the Israeli military operation against Palestinian militants in Gaza would continue for as long as necessary. And he said Hamas, the Islamic group that rules Gaza, would pay a heavy price. Now, the Hamas military spokesman said the group was ready to teach Israel's military harsh lessons should it decide to go ahead with a ground incursion. And hours earlier, Israel's military called up 7,000 army reservists and deployed troops and tanks near its border with Gaza. And at least 103 Palestinians have been killed since Monday. Like I said, this was last Friday, including 27 children and more than 580 wounded, according to the health ministry in Gaza. And officials in the territory said many civilians had died. Now, Israel says dozens of those killed in Gaza were militants and that some of the deaths are from misfired rockets from Gaza. Yeah, right. What they don't tell you is Mossad gave Hamas the rockets. Oops. It's all staged, managed. And as I said, that particular news report I added to the show before departing for Texas, and is no surprise the sacrificial style carnage is continuing. And those that have followed me for some time will know that I warned of this a long time back. And this move is in part of the desperation of the Hebrew Annunaki and their Zionist program. There are some people in Israel now who are liking their own country like Nazi Germany and fascism. But what those people need to understand is Zionism is fascism, is communism, and all other government forms of isms. And it was the same program and people who killed the Jews, Poles, Russians, Slavs, and Aryans then as it is now. Now, Hamas is the latest boogeyman of the Zionist cult. But perhaps given Israel operates in code, hidden hand, duplicitous, and changed vowels and translations, but sometimes it is in plain sight. Hamas means zeal, strength, or bravery in Arabic, but in Hebrew it means violence. So why is that important? Because we have heard from several leading Jewish peoples and narrators that the Jews always backs both sides of every war. So Hamas is in part Jewish created, as was ISIS and other so-called terrorist groups. ISIS, Israeli Secret Intelligence Services. But did you know where the modern term of terrorist came from? Terrorist in the modern sense started in 1944, especially in reference to Jewish tactics against the British in Palestine. Oops. Now, there is a series called Mossad, which is another series that can quite clearly be labelled as a documentary. How they were involved with Daesh ISIS, and also Hamas. And in it, they have lead operators in all the so-called terrorist groups. And it was made clear they were operating those groups for their own ends. Maybe it's not a coincidence that Mossad has SS in the middle of their name. They infiltrate everything and steer it for their own ends. And they have told us that also. And how many times have I said in shows of leading people in groups that are involved in atrocities and other forms of anti-human behaviour with born in and born to. There is a reason they call New York Gotham. And it's all in your face, and much of it also in stealth mode, which is a key word and operation of all militaries. But have you ever wondered why the US military uses Latin for its badges? Because it's being ran by the same group that pushes the Zionist agenda is why. Latin is a reptilian language. Go and look at Lockheed Martin, USAF and Northrop Grumman badges, and it reveals far more than just Latin. It's all in your face. And this violence is the prerequisite for their third temple of human sacrifice again. And the Rome Church of Satan is also in on it. They have told us they worship Lucifer. They worship Samael, who was a demon. They revere Solomon, who worked with the demons and did human sacrifice, particularly children. They worshipped Herod, who slayed all the children in his temple. Molech, another child sacrificer. And they worship Lilith, who was also slayed children and was part snake. Lilith, the moon goddess and the night crawler that led to the fall of man, which they signify by their six-pointed star badge. Man and woman together is like a diamond shape, a pyramid up and a pyramid down. But the top slipped, and what you're left with is the six-pointed star. It symbolises the fall of man. And that six-pointed star is not only a symbol of Jewry, but the Masons, the US cops, all have six-pointed star badges, and also the Mormons. They're all one and the same. It's all the same cult of Ra and the serpent race, backed by the Pleiadian Thoth avian race to chase down, disrupt and take over the white race planet again. Throw into the mix Apophis, another snake, and the brother of Ra. Apophis or Apep, derived from the Egyptian word to slither. Hathor, who also went by the name Isis, which is the creation of two major names in this, Isis Ra-El. And then you have Isis Lam. Islam means the hidden Isis. Hathor spawned the serpent god Horus. Add in another of their group, Set, and how they were all warring each other for the head serpent, or the more modern day term, Pindar. Apophis turned on his brother Ra to fight for the lead snake, and guess what Ra did? He turned into a cat to defeat the snake, which is why cats are revered globally. They are the symbols of the Brotherhood of the Snake and Ra, the fake solar god. Bastet, I could say something rather close to that, is the symbol of it. She is depicted as Ra's daughter, and the large cats on most bloodline family badges symbolises this. And this is also the group who brought here the domesticated cat into Egypt. The tabby cat is not native to here and did not originate from the large cats here either. But the Apophis and Ra is the classic allegory story of Cain and Abel, neither of which were human either, and the story unfolds and also unravels. Throw in Moses, which is a title. Noah and his descendants Shem, Ham and Japheth were not human either. The Brotherhood of the Snake is who they are. That spawned all religions in their name and for their purpose. Their story is in the Egyptian hieroglyphs, the Bible and the scriptures, and those books are not about us, but them. And the bizarre thing is that people in the alt media are still asking for ET disclosure. How much disclosure do you want before accepting the fact that you already have it and it's all hidden in plain sight? But the stealth war goes on behind the scenes. And I warned in December 2019 you would see the public war. We have, and that is what is playing out now. It is time for people to see for themselves. But this is Ra Eli public war is part of a hostile takeover plan by the dark forces who go by many names. They will not succeed. The Koshis are the kosher, both are aliens. But they are also the Khans, who are the Cohens, known as the priest class, which again came out of Egypt. And another letter K group, the Kali Ma, which means the Dark Mother, which goes by differing names like the Black Madonna and also Lilith. Kali Ma worship in India, the original Garden of Eden, and the origin of the sub-grey race better known today as Jews. But they are not real Jews. And in reality, they are walk-ins of another species. They are embody. They are embody. And embody means to give a body to a spirit, which is the origin of the word incarnate. Embody also means to derive or deprive of spirituality. Embody means to deprive of spirituality. Embody means to represent in human or animal form, which is the origin of the word personify. Embody means to cause to become a body or part of a body, which is the origin of the word incorporate. Just like an incorporate business, which means dead entity. Why? Because it's hosted by something else. But perhaps embodies, the word, needs a closer look, as in the letter M bodies. Is embodies Marduk bodies? We have something they will never ever have. It's all about conquest and ownership with those entities. This is our power. Embrace and exude it.